Paul Lapis here with Remax Hallmark here in Toronto, and I'm back with another market update. And this week I wanted to talk about the Toronto Real Estate Board numbers that were released for the sales data across the GTA that was released for the month of March. So let's jump into it. As always, I like to start with sales as my kind of proxy for demand and what we're seeing out there. And sales were up 17% in March. So definitely saw an uptick in activities, and we're seeing it on the ground as multiple offers are starting to increase. Buyers coming to open houses are increasing. Definitely seeing a lot more showings across the board. But to put everything in kind of a context or even to perspective, like I know a lot of headlines are talking about sales activity and the recovery that we're seeing in real estate, but on a broader sense, sales are still down 30% from our 10-year average. So yes, things are better. Things are better than they've been, but they're not where they were or where they've been for the last 10 years. So we're definitely not in a hot buying market. Certain price points or market segments are doing really well. And that you can see that in the kind of the sales sold over asking ratios that I track as a good proxy of how tight that market is. And really, like for semi-detached, we're still seeing about 66% sell over asking. Detached went up to about 55%, and even the 905 is floating in that really kind of 50% range. So definitely across the board there, we're seeing market conditions tighten for most products. Condos, however, on that is down there. Only about 22% are selling over asking. Condos definitely we saw a slowdown. We're starting to see inventory build. So I noticed that our condo inventory hit a total of 4,000 units across Toronto. And whenever I've seen kind of units in the 4,000 to 5,000 range, that's usually when we see prices start to wane or even come down. We've been sitting at around 730,000 as the average condo price for the last few months. Even last year we had a few times where it was in that range. But with inventory kind of breaking that 4,000 unit mark, I wouldn't be surprised if we start to see condo prices come down in the coming months. So that's something to watch. This time last year, condo prices started going up, and they peaked in the spring of last year at 785. So I don't think we're going to hit that kind of average price this year. And I think we're going to see in the headlines to come, when they contrast the year-over-year numbers, how much down the condo prices are from last year. But going back to the GTA new listings, they're also up about 15%, but down about 18% from our 10-year average. And I think one of the reasons for that is that we had a funny March this year. March break happened, and usually sellers choose to hold their listing off the week before. They choose to hold their listing off the week of March break. And then this year, Easter came early. It came in March. And so we actually saw sellers hold off the week before Easter. And so there was really only like one kind of decent week to list properties that we saw uptick, but I think that was one of the reasons why we saw a slowdown in our average listings. Looking at the kind of list to sales ratios across the board, Toronto sits at about a 50% sold to list to sales ratio. So that means for every two properties that come out, one is selling. So half the properties are selling. Not evenly distributed. We are seeing kind of freehold in the city, so semis, detached, townhouses selling really closer to 60% sales to list ratio, 905 in that 50% range, and condos closer to the 40% range. When you look at inventory, so inventory has come down for most market segments. Detached came down. Semis are still sitting under 1 month. And even across most of the 905, let's say York Region, Durham, Peel, they're all starting to fall under 2 months of inventory. However, condos again sitting at about 3.5. So condo inventory, like I said, 4,000 units. That's definitely climbed, and I'd say it's above historic average. In comparison, that bringing the average up to everything else below average, are the whole GTA average number of listings are actually sitting on par with our long-term 10-year average. So we're seeing kind of low levels of freehold, but high levels of condos, and that's averaging out to our kind of annual averages or monthly averages that we usually see for inventory across the GTA. Average price that upticked month over month. We saw that climb, and so that's kind of an anomaly. We're definitely trying to explain that to buyers, that sales are down from their 10-year average. New listings and inventories, holding flat or going down, Why is prices going up? Well, there's definitely an eagerness in the market. People are starting to come back and compete and bid, thinking that interest rates may be coming down, that the market may be heating up. And so I think whether it's the headline frenzy or some eager buyers that have been sitting on the sideline for a year are starting to come out, and we're starting to see prices climb. That'll be something to watch over the coming months to see if prices continue to climb through April, May, and June, which they typically do in a spring market. But one thing to note is I also track our annual average. So how does the first 3 months compare to last year's average price? And prices are down 3% from last year. So it'll be interesting to see where, after we've had a full year of sales, if the average price ends up higher, lower, or the same as last year. That being said, we'll end off with the 905. Definitely seeing more activity in the 905. Condos, like I said, slowing down or staying slow. And yeah, if there's any other market data questions that you may have, any other things you want to talk real estate, I'm always happy to chat real estate. Feel free to reach out, leave a comment below. Thanks much, and I'll tune in next week for the next episode.